Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cypher Capital and Orbit 6 Demo Day. If everybody could take your seats, we're going to get started. And welcome to everybody online as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we have a very exciting lineup. We're going to introduce a little bit about Orbit, a little bit about Cypher. Then we're going to have an exciting panel discussion with some of the leading VCs in the area. And then, of course, we're going to introduce you to our startups who will be pitching to you. And then after that, we'll have some networking. And for those of you online, please do chat with the team also who will be taking care of you online and also introducing you to the startups. After each startup, there'll be an opportunity to scan a code and indicate if you'd like to set up a meeting and talk to them later. We welcome you to do that as well. So, without further ado, I'd like to get started here and introduce Managing General Partner Oscar Ramos from Orbit Startups, who's going to talk to you a little bit about what we do. Here, let's give it up for Oscar.
Okay, thank you very much for coming today. So for those of you that are new to Orbit, I'm going to introduce to you a bit what do we do to scale startups across frontier and emerging markets. SOSB is part of, Orbit is part of SOSB. We're a global venture capital fund with $1.5 billion under management, investing across the world in a way that is structured based on the fundamental technology that the companies that we're investing have. So Orbit is investing in software startups across emerging markets, Hacks is investing in hardware startups, and IndieBio is investing in biotech startups. When I mean global, we do have presence everywhere, and we have portfolio everywhere. Particularly for this region, we are now the 6th most active investor across emerging markets. And it's not only that we're investing in lots of companies, Orbit is one of the top 5% VCs in the world in terms of performance. Our investments are working, and here you have some of the examples, companies that pitch in venues like this in previous demo days in the past, and that today you're going to be able to see some of these companies that eventually might turn some of these companies. These are some of the regions and some of the areas where we have coverage. As you can see, we're heavily based on Asia, where we started operations, and we have multiple portfolio companies, but slowly we're moving west with more investments in Africa and Latin America, and with the MENA region becoming a more and more relevant area for us. In the 10 years that we have been operational, we have deployed $75 million in startups. Those startups have magically gone to be able to grow, expand, and raise more than $800 million in follow-on funding. These are some of the areas that we invest. As you can see, we're really investing across multiple industries, from traditional agriculture, construction, SME digitization, and we're also leveraging technologies like artificial intelligence or blockchain across many different areas. What is our secret? How do we make that happen? Well, the key thing is when we work with the companies, the first thing that we do is we work with them through mentorship. This mentorship comes from our network of over 700 mentors, but also a 45 people full-time team that is working with the startups very closely. We also leverage a number of part-time experts that are working with our companies every single week. After we achieve that, and through this mentorship, our goal is not to help the companies raise money. Our goal is to help the companies build real businesses and grow. Once you're able to have positive unit economics, once you're able to have a product that people like, then we work on scaling. And I will talk a bit more later about how we do that. And only as a result of this success in growth, on building real business, companies go out and raise more capital to continue their growth and in some cases the expansion, leveraging our global network and our capacity to help those companies expand to new markets. How do we help? One of the key areas for our B2B companies is that we help them with enterprise sales. We have a network of more than 200 multinationals. We're working with them in different areas. We're working with them, supporting them sometimes to identify the innovation that would be clear for them, supporting them in the launch of new initiatives. That not only gives us an insight of what works, what's relevant for them, that also helps to better understand how to sell to them, how they can better talk with the right decision makers, how to handle the gatekeepers, and how to set the right pricing and the right models to be able to work with those companies in a way that, of course, is valuable for this multinational and it's also valuable for our companies. For our B2C companies, The secret is that we work with them on supporting them in free user acquisition. For majority of the B2C companies, the key bottleneck for growth, once they have a product that works well and the users want, is to be able to expand. The acquisition through paid marketing, through traditional channels like Facebook or Google, or now increasingly more ByteDance, doesn't work in emerging markets. The unit economics are not positive. There's many of these multinationals that we're working with that are spending a lot of money in these markets to be able to access and build brand to these new consumers. So what we do is we work with our own portfolio companies. We work through our almost 250 million monthly active users to facilitate that our companies can cross-sell to each other. That helps the companies acquire a foundation of users, and then afterwards also work with some of the companies that I mentioned earlier to cross-sell through telcos, through banks, and through many types of organizations that have a big number of users, but they can leverage the use of new products that can be valuable for them. But let's talk about some examples, and let's talk about companies in a bit more detail. DX1 is a company from the region. It is one of the leading Arabic generative AI companies. Arabic languages have certain nuances that make them special, and more traditional natural language processing systems don't really work well. DX1 developed their own engine that allowed them to be way more accurate at analyzing the content. And for generative AI, you need to understand what's going on, or whatever content that you create, whatever output that you create is not going to be relevant. That was the secret of DX1. DX1, thanks to that solution, became much better than other players. The company was originally founded in Egypt, and they have been expanding across the GCC area. We're happy to announce that a month ago, they made public the raise of their Series A with the support of some of the leading VCs in the region. Videoverse. We're constantly talking now about generative AI and video particularly. The news in the last weeks are something that created a lot of awareness. Videoverse is a company that has a suite of AI-assisted video editing tools that help anyone edit video. Real video, not just creation of video, real video that you have and needs to be edited is becoming more and more relevant to become very trustable. But this is something that is not easy, and it's particularly challenging if you want to do this real time. Videoverse has a set of tools that facilitate that and make it very easy for anyone to be able to do that. For example, Magnify, one of their products, is one of the leading solutions to edit video real time for sports. They are already working with majority of the leagues. They're also working with the Olympics and many other players to provide this real-time editing and highlight of key areas that matter in sports. Real-time, applicable to many different type of areas. The company is profitable, is working really fast, but in December they closed a 45 million CUC because now they are expanding, they are growing, they are leveraging acquisitions to be able to apply their tech, fast fashion in emerging markets. And second-tier cities of emerging markets like India is becoming problematic. The demand, the taste is changing really fast. And that leads to a situation where there's a lot of stock that is not sold. Or if it's sold, it needs to be sold at a loss. And this is bad for the environment, but this is also very bad for business because those companies that are producing product, they don't sell that product. What Stitch does is they first leverage their AI solution to be able to redesign all their designs to create different types of pieces that can be later stitched real time, and they reduce the type of raw materials that they need. Then the production is all made just in time, and in less than 24 hours, through a network of independent tailors, they are able to, once the order is received, then it gets stitched and it can be sent and received by the customer, making sure that they don't produce what customers don't want and they optimize everything that they've done. The company is growing. The company already has over $400,000 in monthly revenue. They keep growing. They are profitable and they are actually expanding. They're expanding to new areas through acquisitions, and they're expanding to new categories through also these acquisitions. They recently acquired one of the flagship companies in India for direct-to-consumer shoes. If you are from India, you might be familiar with a company called Flatheads that they acquired, and they keep growing. They are closing right now their seed round. So if you're interested in learning more about the company, you're interested in learning more about this opportunity, by the way, they are going to be launching soon in Dubai. So there might be an opportunity also to collaborate in this region. Come look for me later, and we can chat. And without any further ado, I'm gonna return the microphone to Chimpin so we can continue with the demo day. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Oscar. All right, well, next up, I'm really excited to introduce Sumit Surana from Cypher Capital, who is also hosting us today in lovely Dubai. So please come to the stage and tell us a little bit about Cypher.
Hi guys, thank you so much for coming to Cypher Capital. This is our office come co-working space. So this is free for all everyone in Web3. And if you are working something, or building something in the Web3, doing something here, feel free to come by, stop by, work from here for sure. Let me give you a quick introduction about Cypher Capital. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Sumit. I'm an investment director at Cypher. We are a Web3 VC and investing everything across the blockchain space. Oh wow, yeah, okay. So we are a $100 million multi-strategy crypto fund. We do VC, we do Bitcoin mining, we do liquid tokens as well as fund of funds. The majority of our portfolio is still in the VC side, and VC is across the board from early to Series A, but we have done a couple of Series B deals here and there also, so very flexible mandate over there. And beyond that, we have a large Bitcoin mining arm of Cypher itself. And the reason why we have it is because of our LPs, which is Phoenix Group. If you are in Abu Dhabi, you would know Phoenix is a listed company now in Abu Dhabi. They are one of the biggest miners in the region, backed by Abu Dhabi royal families also. They also run an exchange called m2.com. So our portfolio companies get kind of ecosystem of Bitcoin miners as well as exchange listing down the line as well. Cypher is led by Bill. Bill is the chairman of Cypher, and before that, he was heading Binance Labs. And before that, JD.com MENA. So he has a wide background into Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. And he's also partnered up with Vineet. Vineet, he used to be ex-Orbit entrepreneur, by the way. And he's now currently leading Cypher. He's serial entrepreneur with great exits and failures across, like any entrepreneur. And yeah, in the MENA region, we try to be the biggest brand name out there and biggest help for our portfolio companies also. I'll just briefly touch about how we help our portfolio company. It's not as wide as what Oscar presented just now, because we are fairly young, and I think probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll get to that stage where we're able to add so much value that we become the key partner across the globe rather than just MENA. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Bill and Vineet, I won't go into details of that. Let me just skip. Yeah. So how we do investments. So we have done investments in early stage, which is typically check size of 100K to 1 million. These are pre-seed to private, just pre-listing tokens and equity as well. Then on the growth stage, we do treasury buyouts, or we also do OTC deals. These are very strategic depending on, okay, we have done thorough research on this sector. This is the leader in this sector. So let's just go talk to the founders directly, and if you can buy their shares or just buy it from a large investor. The third is we do buy established liquid tokens. So for example, if we have a thesis on DeFi perps, then we figure out all the private companies are not there where we want them to be. We'll go talk to GMX, GYDX of the world also, and take a stake in them as well. It could be direct, it could be indirect from the market also, depends on the deal. Then beyond that, apart from the investment, we try to increase our returns by running nodes. One example of that is Sui, Mistin Labs. So we invested in Sui, and beyond investment, we are also running nodes with them. So the investment is giving like whatever return it will give us later down the line. But as of now, we are earning liquid Sui tokens are up to 150 to 200,000 on a yearly basis in dollar amount. And in terms of exit, we follow very fundamentally informed exit whenever the market is right, whenever we feel that the team has delivered on the roadmap that they promised to us. In bear market, when Bitcoin was at 19 to 25K, our investment was quite slow because our benchmark is Bitcoin. So we're literally selling Bitcoins to buy into your company. And what we have done in terms of analysis, it's very hard to beat the top BTC and Ethereums of the world. So that's why we take a very cautious approach whenever we deploy into early stage also. And right now it's picking up pace because Bitcoin is again trying to reach its all-time high. It's not there yet. It's 52K, but maybe one day it will go back to its own old price. And then we'll be more accelerated down the line. Currently the pace is there, but it's still slow. And this basically, like, having Bitcoin as a benchmark helps us to maintain our discipline so that we don't do over-invest in private companies. We hold some Bitcoin, and then we take the call from there on a quarter-to-quarter basis that how much to deploy this quarter. Yeah, in terms of a value add, so as I mentioned, we are the biggest one in MENA, so we try to help from this angle as much as we can, which includes PR, which includes community building, as you are seeing in this hub right now. We have helped our portfolio company and partner companies also to build their communities out this hub and in Dubai as well. Beyond that, we also have close connects with all the key regulators, Web3 regulators in UAE, including VARA, Hub 71, AD Gaming, and so on. So all our portfolio companies who are either sitting in the US or Europe who are curious about, okay, how do I get into UAE? We enable this conversation and help them figure out the right path for them. And yeah, beyond that, this co-working space also helps us in creating a presence in the region, and then being a talking point itself kind of helps. Yeah, these are some kind of events that we have done in the past. Oops, yeah. So we have hosted WorldCoin for their ops. We have hosted INSEAD, my alma mater, for a one-to-one fireside chat, YGG, ArtsDAO, and all the other Web3, slightly Web 2.5 communities as well to do events. And I think we'll add Orbit also after this. Yeah, this is our basically portfolio showcase that we did in GITEX in 2022. So we invited 7 of our portfolio companies to come and present in GITEX, so give them a stage over there. And a couple of them were able to raise some capital also out of this. So it was a good event, I would say. Yeah, beyond that, we do international events also. Like currently, we are doing 3 events, one in Eat Denver, one in GDC, and other one in, I think, on Consensus. So if you are going to any of them, do reach out to us. We'll be happy to put you on the invite list. Oh yeah, in terms of our investment. So investment in Web3 is very kind of, it's driven by narrative as well as what the long-term path look like. But we have divided our thesis into 2 to 3 points. One is infrastructure. Like, as we all know, Web3 is very early in the journey. So we want to kind of focus only on the infra side of things, and trying to find out companies who are building key highways in the Web3 landscape, and then we can invest in them. Beyond that, DeFi and payments and adoption layer, I think that will be the key thesis in the coming cycle. We are seeing a lot of adoption, consumer dApps coming into the market. This is briefly our portfolio, which is divided into infra and consumer. I'm happy to talk about any of them if you're curious to ask. It includes everything from a layer 1 like Mistin Labs to a gaming portfolio like Cross the Ages or Vera down the line.
Thank you so much. Okay. So we are now going to move on to our VC panel, where I'm excited to bring back Oscar and Sumit, as well as another wonderful distinguished guest. So we'll get the panel set up now and be with you in a second. So welcome everybody, and we're always excited every demo day to be able to talk to some of the top VCs in the area and hear what they are working on, what they're investing in, and what they're seeing out there in the markets. So I'm actually going to start with, on the end there, with Sumit, who you just heard from a Cypher, but he's a distinguished graduate of IIT Kharagpur in INSEAD, exactly. And his journey began in investment banking at JP Morgan, where he worked and started his career in the tech sector. And so now he's with Cypher Capital as their investment director. And then next, to his right, I'm absolutely thrilled to have Sonia Weimuller. Weimuller, thank you. Co-founder and general partner of VentureSouk. And she is a MENA-based venture capital fund with a global portfolio and focusing on fintech and climate tech. She herself has held positions at Viacom and Microsoft, as well as in London, right? That's where, and what I'm expressly extremely excited about is that she is a jury member of the Cartier Women's Initiative that really helps out women founders and women entrepreneurs. So I encourage everyone to check that one out. And then finally, I'd like to welcome back Oscar Ramos, Managing General Partner at Orbit Startups. Oscar calls himself a full stack VC, right? So he's done everything from strategy to engineering, so advises companies and works with our companies all across the board, and we're excited to have him back. Okay, so I'm actually gonna start off here, and I just wanna hear a little bit about what it is you are seeing right now in the industry for 2024. What are you seeing as the trends? So I want to start over there at the end then. Yeah.
Cool. I think my focus will be slightly narrower than Oscar and Sonia. It will be more about Web3 itself. So I'll try to focus and focus my conversation and my talk towards Web3 itself. I think in Web3, what we are seeing right now is like what we believe is infra is at a place where we can see interesting startups, interesting apps, consumer play coming out of there. So definitely one area of sector of focus for us has become consumer, which includes everything from a gaming studio towards a social fi app or an entertainment piece as well. We recently deployed into two companies which are very close to me personally. One is called Vira Browser, which is like a Web3 browser focused for market in India. They are focused on micro rewards and adding Web3 elements. They are still trying to figure out how to do it regulatory kind of in a regulatory friendly way, given that they are in India. So that's one sector for us. Other one is on the gaming side. So on the gaming side, I think where a lot of interesting things are happening. Gaming model in 2017, 2021 was about play to earn, which was only in blockchain. And now we are seeing like very high quality games being built on top of blockchain. So a lot of good games are coming out there which are fun to play. One of them is sitting right here as Vincent Niftycraft. And yeah, seeing a lot of excitement on that side also. Now, beyond the consumer side, I think one thesis we are closely looking at is the BTC ecosystem. So Bitcoin as an ecosystem has never earned yield. So that's also evolving. I'm happy to talk about any of them in detail, but I'd like to pass the mic along. But yeah, these are the two sectors of focus for us as of now.
Great, thank you so much. All right, Sonia, what are you seeing out there?
Well, I mean, no surprise, we're a thematic VC that focuses on fintech and climate, so guess. But is it helpful if I give a little background first on VentureSouk? Because I don't know how many people are actually familiar with it. So VentureSouk, we started our journey in 2013, so 11 years ago. We started off as a syndicate model back then. By us, I mean, we're 4 founding partners. We all had day jobs. What we noticed back then was there was no ecosystem, or barely any ecosystem in 2013. And there were a lot of people like us, like young professionals in their mid to late 20s at the time, who wanted to invest in early stage tech but didn't have a regional platform to do so. So we started hosting informal events, kind of like this, where we'd invite our friends, invite interesting entrepreneurs, and then they basically presented their ideas to our friends, and then we just grew into the largest syndicate at the time of angel investors. We deployed about $30 million through that model. Then it kind of made sense as we grew with the ecosystem out to pivot into a VC model. And by then, we'd already made about 100 investments globally. So our USP is that we never only focused on this region. What we were good at is putting our ear to the ground and understanding what are the types of deals that our investors want to see, and then source accordingly, which is why we made investments in the US, in Europe, in India, in Asia, et cetera, and in, obviously MENA. And so in 2019, we decided to pivot to a thematic VC model, keeping in mind that historically, most of the VCs in the region tend to be more generalist in their approach. It's only very recently that we're starting to see more sector-focused funds. So in 2020, we basically launched the first sector-focused fund, which was fintech. And this was obviously around/right before COVID. Fintech made sense for us from a track record standpoint because we'd made so many investments globally in the fintech sector. We felt like there was a huge gap in this market, and there was going to be a huge amount of acceleration, which we ended up seeing actually with COVID, incidentally. So the timing was right at that point. And then we launched Fintech Fund 1, which is backed by all the sovereign wealth funds in the region, so PIF, Mubadala, MEDIQ, and the like, focused on MENA and Pakistan. In parallel, I had previously done a stint with Jacqueline Novogratz, who's the founder of Acumen Fund, which is considered one of the first impact investing funds in the world. And she kind of planted the seed in my head. And so I was like, I wonder what impact investing would look like for this region. And so we launched the first impact vehicle with a global mandate to test the waters. It was more of a beta fund. Made 17 investments from Indonesia to Chile, have our first unicorn in the portfolio. It's tracking really well. Great for all the naysayers who don't think that you can invest in mission-driven founders and make a non-concessionary financial return at the same time. And now we're on our subsequent fund, so Fintech Fund 2, and we're launching the first early-stage climate-focused fund. So the climate-focused fund, I would say, was maybe a different approach. We'd already made 19 investments in this space over the last couple of years, so it's an area that we had been kind of digging into. Obviously, COP happened, as some of you know, a couple of months ago. That really served to put climate on the map. People didn't really understand climate. They thought about climate as more infrastructure type deals. They didn't understand what early stage climate looked like. Thankfully, we had those 19 investments that we could point to, both in the region and outside the region. And so back to your original question, climate and fintech, there's a reason why we're doing subsequent funds around those themes.
But what are you seeing out there in terms of in those sectors? What are you seeing the trends for 2024 then?
Within those sectors? Yeah. So I'll speak for climate because I lead our climate practice. I would definitely say supply chain is definitely one. I mean, when people ask me which subsector you're most excited about, probably the unsexiest one of them all, which is supply chain. But especially in this region, I feel like we're kind of ideally positioned as a gateway to actually see more companies developing supply chain solutions to address supply chain traceability, transparency, etc. Food and ag has always been an area of focus to deal with food insecurity in this region. So I think we'll see more of that as well. And then obviously there's a lot of talk around carbon markets. ADGM's been talking a lot about that. Saudi's been talking about that as well. So that's kind of an area to watch. Those would be the main ones, I would say.
Great.
And climate fintech, actually, the nexus between climate and fintech.
Climate fintech.
And then there's, of course, the Web3 angle to it as well, which we're still new to, but something that maybe you and I can talk about.
Great. All right, Oscar. What are you seeing?
I mean, I'm not going to be very different. I mean, obviously, we have a thesis because we're very excited about that thesis. No, but I want to build on this idea on these boring and sexy industries. Yeah. I think there's actually a massive opportunity with all of these boring, traditional, and sexy industries that are, in general, quite inefficient. They're very, very inefficient, and with the access of technology, and what I mean access of technology is not that the technology was not there, is that suddenly people is way more open to receive that technology and implement it in the organization. Suddenly technology is not scary because they get to see, like, just playing with ChatGPT and some of the other tools, and they say, hey, this is actually really cool. I mean, what if I actually go and use this for my business? So I think that's a very good opportunity because from a economic point of view right now, there's a lot of interest in, okay, we need to become more efficient. We need to streamline operations. We need to get more with less. And that's one of the powers that technology can achieve. So that's by far, that's one of the areas where I'm very, very, very excited. Then particularly on our side, we are mostly investing in emerging markets. Sometimes there's limited coverage in the media, no? Like many companies in emerging markets, they again might not be the sexiest because they don't allow you to create videos of a rabbit that is looking at a window and doing funny things. You cannot do these type of things. But those are companies that create a massive change. And those are companies that in most cases, they operate in an absolutely blue ocean with a lot of competition and with massive markets where when you are able to make something work and you're able to make the economics like positive and something can have an impact in terms of changing whatever you're trying to achieve with this company, there's massive growth opportunity. There's a huge opportunity there. It's today an untapped market. It's a part of the world where I believe sometimes entrepreneurship is very, very pure from the point of view of the fact that you need to actually do things, but being very creative, not really follow trends, not really listen just what the media is saying. You need to be able to sometimes learn from the Silicon Valley playbook, but leverage that emerging market playbook. And it's surprising. I mean, it's surprising for us how we see companies from Argentina becoming global leaders operating across the whole world, companies from Pakistan, from India, from Indonesia, and well, hopefully soon we'll also have companies from the GCC doing the same. No? We share a couple of companies today, and I think this is something that's going to happen.
Okay, great. So one of the things, I'm going to pivot away from talking about trends and things like that. I want to hear a little bit about how you guys are working with your portfolio companies, because we all know right now that venture capital has hit a slowdown in the last year or so, and that's affected funding and so on and so forth. And so, our responsibilities in working with our portfolio companies to continue to support them and keep them successful. But I'd like to hear a little bit about what you've experienced and where you sort of put some sort of strategic, perhaps pivoting, maybe, into helping them. So I'd love to hear actually from Sonia about your portfolio. Yeah.
So obviously these are hard times. I mean, we're fundraising right now, and I think entrepreneurs tend to forget that we as fund managers also have to fundraise in order to get money to them. So fundraising is definitely one area that most of us kind of roll up our sleeves and support, whether it be from a fundraising kind of materials preparation standpoint or mainly introductions. widen kind of the investor base. They might be looking to only go to the same usual suspects, for example, in the region. We can help them think outside the box. In our case, because we've invested internationally, really our kind of our, not secret sauce, but like the area that I enjoy the most and that we do well, I think, is actually working with companies from abroad and bringing them here, especially for climate. So we have one company, for example, called Dendra. They're doing all the mangrove restoration work on the coasts using drones and their AI platform. We seeded them in 2018, pun intended, because their drones shoot out seeds. And we co-invested with Parrot, the drone manufacturer. And I had been evangelizing, come to the region, and they were based in Australia and the UK, and they're like, no, we're gonna stick to Europe, or like maybe we'll go to the US, etc. And then fast forward 5 years later, they started thinking about the region. And they just launched, opened their office last year in Abu Dhabi. Now they're doing all this government work, and it's a multi-year, very big contract for them, and that's kind of opened up their eyes now. They just got a funding round, they got money from Aramco, they're gonna go to Saudi next, etc. So all that is kind of possible because we're the only ones from the region on their cap table that help facilitate that. So I would say fundraising and then scaling based on our own networks. People forget that this game only works with the founders, and we are here in service to the founders. That is our role. Everyone always kind of focuses on the fund managers and the VCs, etc. None of this works without the founders, and we are here as allies to the founders. And so oftentimes for the founders who are in the room, if you have fundraised and you have investors on your cap table, use them, leverage them. They are all incentivized to see you succeed. So see them as extensions of your team with whichever aspect of your work you need help on, whether it be fundraising, whether it be scaling, whether it be strategic advice, even whether it be personal advice, to be honest, right? And so, so I think that's kind of a takeaway I would say for the founders is just don't forget that we are here for you. We're not here against you.
Thank you so much. And how about Cypher? What is Cypher doing to portfolio manage and help?
About the same, I think, helping them with fundraising a lot, because last 2 years were very difficult for a lot of Web3 companies as well. So kind of to figure out a way, okay, how you can be innovative in raising funds. If the market is not doing well, maybe just go out and talk to your community. Maybe that could help you, because NFT is all about community. So a lot of companies actually launched their NFT protocols, NFTs, and they were able to raise some capital out of it. And another thing that we are seeing, which is a common theme right now, is a lot of companies wants to move to MENA, because MENA is the only place in the region which is open to Web3. India is closing off. You see Singapore taking a U-turn. Hong Kong has now kind of opened up. It's only like last 6 months. But MENA is like, there's Ragda, there is Vara, there is ADGM, everyone fighting with each other, which is rare to see in any other geographies. So I think that's one help that we are providing them beyond fundraising. And I think one more thing is more about talking to each other also, because a lot of PCs, founders kind of don't ask, okay, who can I talk to? So we have to be proactive. Okay, you are building a gaming infra. This is the gaming list that we have, go talk to them. And I agree that founders tend to kind of, not ask for help. They should ask more, okay, what can I do more? And yeah, that has been the feedback, and that has been the journey for us, what we are seeing.
Can I just add to that? Because I think it is that dicey relationship between investor and founder, right? As a founder, how open are you going to open that kimono, right? Because on the one hand, like, you're always going to need to fundraise from Sumit and Sonia or Oscar, right? So like, how open do you want to be with that, with your investors? And I think it's really important for the investors, I see a lot of investor tags here, to create that safe space for the founders as well, for them to feel comfortable actually talking to you about some of the challenges that they're facing. Because ultimately, if you find out about these challenges later on, it's too late. So that's advice to both the founders and the investors. Actually, investors, create that safe space so that people actually, so that you're approachable, and then founders, like, don't be afraid to open up the kimono. And maybe you're strategic in who you approach from your cap table. You don't have to open your kimono to everyone, but maybe identify those 2 or 3 investors who maybe you vibe well with, who you think will be understanding and be helpful to you.
Actually, I wanted to share something a bit different. We were talking, we help fundraise, we help with sales, etc. It's like, we shared something earlier, and it's like, let's say something different. And this is something I wanted to share. At the end of the day, there's an asymmetry between investors and funders, and is that investors are seen way more than many funders. Some funders are able to see really deep on their company. Maybe they have close friends, they might be able to see something else, but most of the investors are seeing many things. So I think one of the areas where a lot of investors can help is help give a guidance and visibility on the market with information that is normally not available. In our case, we're working with over 200 companies. And we have a lot of primary data on what's working, what's not working, what are the trends. And right now, in relation to this idea of sharing with your investors, this is a moment where investment decisions are taking way, way longer. And they're taking longer because investors are really looking if you're changing your underwear every day or not. So they're checking everything. And if there's something there, they're going to find out. So the best partner that you can have to start finding like how to handle that, because that something is not perfect in a startup is a given. You are a startup. It's not perfect. So something needs to be fixed. The real problem is either when you are hiding it or that you even don't know that you have a problem. So acknowledging and saying, hey, something here is not as good as I expected, is recognizing that you're able to identify the problem, define that this is something that needs to be fixed, and then start working on fixing it. So I think one of the areas that we've been working a lot with the companies is trying to build that trust. Build that trust with existing investors, creating the right forums, understanding how to communicate more effectively, being open on some of the challenges, leveraging that network to support, and then hopefully that trust being something that you can extend to prospective investors and say, look, if we want to start working together and we want to receive your investment, this is the way we work with our investors, this is the way we want to work with you, and this is the way we want to work, because we need to be partners together. So I think this is a very important element, no? Like as investors help to understand how founders, how to handle those investor relations with existing and future investors. And particularly right now, very important because there's many paths that they seem to go into the right direction, and you seem that you have progress, but they lead to a dead end. And that's unfortunately right now something that you have less opportunities because there's less funding available that will allow you to have a plan B. So you need to try to use as much as you can to figure out, find out as soon as possible that you're working and walking in the right direction.
All right, well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, it's all we have time for, but I'm hearing a lot about working together with your cap table, reaching out, transparency, both sides. Takes two to tango, as we say, so there needs to be a safe space created by investors, and then startup companies need also to approach this with a feeling of transparency and openness. All right, well, I want to thank Sumit and Sonia and Oscar. Thank you so much for your insights today. Everybody, let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody, let's continue on with Orbit 6 Demo Day. And it is time to meet our startups. We're going to get started, and I would like everybody to give an amazing welcome to Alex from Carzo.
Meet Adam, the regional manager for a large beverage corporation. Adam is in charge of sales and distribution across the Southeast Asian Mekong markets of Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. To handle all his distribution, the team has to outsource 85% of their logistics to 145 different trucking and logistics companies. First, his team has to find enough trucks to actually handle the volume and ensure the trucks meet international standards. They have to be sure each truck arrives at pickup time, on time, loads on time, and of course, delivers on time. All this, at the same time, they have to manage all these suppliers manually on logbooks and spreadsheets and even whiteboards. All this operational manpower increases Adam's costs and ultimately leads to losses in revenue. 1, 2, Carzo. We connect businesses with a large network of truck fleets and logistics providers through a digital platform for efficient cargo transportation. We aggregate, manage, and digitize an end-to-end solution from customs clearance at the ports, goods and container hauling to the warehouses, nationwide distribution, and then cross-border logistics, guaranteeing that all the demand needs and international service and compliance for these corporates is in one place. Let me show you how it works. Adam's team logs in. They upload the delivery locations, type of goods, type of service, and any special handling. Carzo then contracts the best fleets and logistics providers who are fully vetted and onboarded with us. The ops team manage the distribution on the system from pickup through to uploading the delivery completion documents. Adam and his team gets insights and analytics and can now oversee and manage and have full transparency of their entire operation. He not only saves time and money, but enables the company to scale the operations for the region. We make money by charging a 12% average margin on every order. In the region, there are hundreds of these corporates in the target sectors that we are looking at, such as FMCG, agri-products, and of course, alcoholic and soft beverages, all with the same or very similar outsourcing logistics problems. The total logistics value for the sectors and corporates we are targeting sits at US $35 billion. This year, we are focused on our core services, goods transportation, cross-border logistics, and customs clearance to capture nearly US $4 million in GMV from these targeted sectors and corporates. Why do we need to do this now? China is relocating billions in manufacturing to Vietnam now and across Southeast Asia over the next few years. And I quote the DHL Supply Chain APAC Managing Director, "The Mekong is on the verge of a logistics boom. It's expected that the Mekong will account for 10% of total global trade by 2030. That's double, up from 5% in 2023. Unlike other international logistics companies, Carzo doesn't maintain its own fleet, as we have verified partnerships with independent logistics service providers that operate to our standards and our client standards. The local regional players tend to operate just in their own market. We can move goods from anywhere to anywhere with full visibility, optimizing and ultimately reducing the logistics costs for these big companies. Carzo stands out as the only asset-light, end-to-end, full-scale, cross-border solution for the Mekong. Myself, the founder and CEO, before Carzo, I built a very successful web, SEO, and tech company in Southeast Asia. It still serves hundreds of businesses in the Asia Pacific. Our Chief Growth Officer, an ex-FedEx operations manager that oversaw 1.5 million in monthly revenue at FedEx. And Situ, our COO, nearly a decade running 350 government and private logistics large-scale projects for Brunei Oil and Gas. We're backed by Cocoon Capital, VC out of Singapore, and a very strong and active board of advisors. Michael, the MP of Cocoon, Neo for strategy and growth and expansion, very hands-on, and the key advisor for the Greater Mekong sub-region and Asian governments for logistics. We currently serve 40 plus corporates, including multinationals such as Changbea, Kubota Machinery, and Coca-Cola. One thing is for certain, the resilience of the logistics sector and our asset-light, flexible business model. Over the last 3 highly disruptive years, we've still averaged 46% year-over-year average revenue growth. We did 1.2 million in GMV last year, and we've transformed our take rate, our margins, from expanding from trucking to full suite logistics, much deeper long-term client and supplier contracts, and optimizing our OpEx for profitability. We have achieved positive unit economics in our first market in Myanmar, and we've started operating with contracts signed in Thailand and Cambodia from last month at US $40,000 in GMV.
Next up, I would like everybody to give a warm round of applause for Baldeep from Revent.
Hi, today I'm going to speak to you about the most trusted pre-owned electronics destination, Revent. In the last 18 months since our inception, we have served more than 8,000 customers, shipped more than $3 million worth of pre-owned electronics products, and saved more than 500,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions for the planet. It all began in 2019 when I met my co-founder, Dhananjay, back at Noon.com. Noon had $15 million in returns inventory piled up. We were asked to find a solution to this problem. We not only solved this problem, but we ended up creating a $30 million used product business for them for 3 major markets of MENA, which is UAE, Saudi, and Egypt. While doing so, we were operating 4 supersized warehouses spread over 3 countries, totally dedicated to pre-owned. Not only that, we established retail, marketplace, and offline as sales channels for e-commerce and sold more than 3 million units through those channels. But all in all, we knew we had barely scratched the surface by then. Let me pause here and ask you a question. Will you ever buy a used smartphone? We asked this question to more than 1,000 online shoppers, and here is what we got. 74% people said that they will buy provided they trust the source. Another 21% people said that they will buy if they're promised an after-service care. 5% people said that they may not buy because they're not comfortable with pre-owned. That means 95% people are willing to try, willing to adopt pre-owned provided they are given trust on source or promised an after-service care. With this, we had our first task cut out, and that's how Revent was born. We built Revent as that used electronics destination that people can love, people can trust. But you can ask us now, how did you build something as intangible and hard as trust? Well, we took the pain away of traditional pre-owned buying experience that's filled with all these questions. How old is the device? What if the seller does not work? What if the device stopped working tomorrow, etc. With all these questions, we changed that experience to Revent experience. And Revent experience is built with TrueCheck and Revent Care. Revent Care is our proprietary cloud-based remote quality check engine through which we can qualify sellers and check every inventory for quality before shipping to ensure that the promise made to the customer gets delivered. If after delivery, the customer still needs support, we have an exceptional and reliable after-service care called Revent Care that makes it super convenient for any customer to file warranties, file returns, and get instant refunds. And you know what? It works. We have return rates that are better than industry average for new electronics, and our customer ratings are more than 4.5. TrueCheck is at the heart of everything that we do today. With the power of TrueCheck, we can serve a customer wherever the customer is, whether on our B2C marketplace platform or any other online or offline platform, and in the way the customer wants. Whether the customer wants to buy a pre-owned device, sell one, lease one, we have the options available. In the last few months, we started offering pre-owned devices on rentals to businesses. And this area, this business line has picked up really well for us and remains a key focus area for 2024. With easy pay-as-you-go and upgrade-as-you-go options, businesses now can not just unlock their valuable cash, but also contribute to circular economy. We are addressing a $80 billion global opportunity that's doubling every 4 years. In MENA alone, this opportunity stands at $7 billion, and that's also growing at an impressive CAGR of 15%. We had a phenomenal start so far, with us shipping more than 8,000 devices, crossing more than $3 million in overall revenues. And we have expanded our base from UAE to Saudi Arabia. And the best part, we are profitable at unit level today, and extremely proud about achieving this feat in the first 16 months of our existence. Revent is uniquely positioned vis-a-vis competition to win in this space because we have a business-to-consumer interface, we have the ability to scale supply while ensuring quality, we are a specialist rather than a journalist in our space, and we have the omni-channel capability, that means the access to other channels to top this up. I bring in almost a decade worth of industry leadership experience with the likes of Walmart, Rocket Internet, Jabong, to name a few. My co-founder Dhananjay brings in almost a decade worth of experience in the region into product marketing, commercial, and operations. Join us in building the next generation global e-commerce company. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, we have Hassan from Metamorph. Let's give it up for Hassan. Woo!
So I'd like you to meet Aisha. She's a marketing manager at an e-commerce fashion brand in Pakistan. Might not look like it, but she's pretty stressed. She has aggressive sales targets, and it doesn't look like she's going to achieve them. And do you know where most of her potential customers are? Yep, you guessed it, social media. But it's getting increasingly difficult to capture their attention. Her regular content gets on average about 1% engagement. It's not great, but it's pretty normal. When she resorts to paid ads, over 98% of her ad spend doesn't even get a click, let alone a conversion to sale. It's super frustrating. But Aisha isn't alone. this is a challenge faced by e-commerce players across the board. Pakistan is a $6.4 billion e-commerce market that really needs content that actually converts. We are Metamorph. We're a content-led live shopping solution that allows audiences to have fun, interactive shopping experience that mimics real-life interaction. Come, let me show you how it works. So Aisha can easily sign in using her Google account. She can then add her brand details and her products. Her brand's influencer can then go live simultaneously to social media, her website, and our marketplace. During the live stream, when viewers want to purchase a product, all they have to do is enter the product code that will automatically be shown on the screen in the comments. They will get a purchase link in response and to complete the sale. Easy peasy. After the live stream, Aisha can check our comprehensive dashboard for all her metrics. The result? A seamless live commerce experience that transforms passive viewers into active buyers. And the best thing, she has no risk. Aisha only pays 10% commission on products sold. So live commerce is already a reality. In China, the undisputed market leader, this is a $700 billion market already and represents around 22% of the overall e-commerce market. And this trend is happening across Asia. In the Indonesian live commerce market represents around 8% of their total e-commerce market and is growing. This is going to happen in Pakistan too. We expect a conservative 3% live commerce market of a potentially $30 billion e-commerce market in Pakistan over the next 5 years, representing a $1 billion opportunity for us. And we're uniquely positioned to capture it. We know how to create engaging content at scale and build audiences, something traditional e-commerce players struggle with. This, coupled with our interactive live streaming infrastructure, means we can deliver conversions better than anyone else. I'm Hassan, founder and CEO. My previous startup, where I was co-founder, VidPresso, was an interactive live streaming platform that was acquired by Meta. I then spent the next 4 years looking after creator and media partnerships at Meta in Singapore, helping Pakistan become one of the fastest growing markets in APAC. Metamorph is an amalgamation of my experience in this space for over a decade. I'm joined by Omer, our CRO, who established and grew his enterprise business to over $22 million in annual revenues, and Fazl, our COO, who led Pakistan's leading broadcaster from 40,000 subscribers to over 7 million, increasing revenues by over 2,400%. The other Omer, we have two of them, founded Pakistan's leading indie ad agency, winning both Advertising Age and Effie Awards. We've also got momentum. We're already Pakistan's largest creator network. We look after and manage over 350 of the country's top content creators. We also, in addition to that, produce our own original content that generates over 60 million views each month. We've built our live shopping solution in conjunction with over 40 vendors and brands, complete with in-house dedicated live streamers and custom studios. Our live streams have also delivered 5 times better conversions than social media ads. We're a team of 40 and we're cash flow positive. We're on track to get there, and we're going to get there. But in order to scale our solution faster and capture this opportunity quicker.
Next up, please everybody give a super warm welcome for Dr. Saira from MEDIQ.
Meet Abdullah Al Hussein. He's the finance manager of a leading construction company in Saudi Arabia with more than 1,000 employees. He's really worried because it's time for the renewal of annual health insurance. The premium has increased by about 25%. The mandatory health laws in Saudi Arabia makes it sure that every company gives healthcare insurance, especially the private health insurance, to its employees. As a result of that private health insurance, there is an overutilization of healthcare services. People go and use services which are not even required, resulting in higher premium every year. In Saudi Arabia, every person is having about 2 times more visit to a hospital than the developed countries. And if the employee goes to a hospital where there is no medical record of the patient before, then the doctor is completely clueless because there's no interoperability of the data or no medical records available which can be shared between the doctors. And same goes for the pharmacies and the labs. So as a result of, despite having very high spend of the company on the healthcare, the employees are not at all happy. They have a very poor patient experience. This is because of the waiting time, the traffic, the dependency of the family on the person to take them to the hospital. And you know, the irony is that despite 90% of these, despite spending high cost, 90% of these patients should not even be visiting the hospital because they either have chronic diseases or they have minor ailments which can be treated easily in the primary care or at home. So despite having high cost, the employee is still unhappy and having a very poor patient experience. We are MedIQ. We are an integrated digital healthcare platform which is connecting the patients, providers, and the payers. We onboard health service providers. We get integrated with insurance companies, and we allow the employers and the employees or the patients to seamlessly move between physical or online virtual healthcare services with the data stored in uniform electronic medical records. The patient can use a wide range of services interconnected with each other and can easily transition between the 2 types of the healthcare system. All the data which is stored is actually the possession of the patient and can easily be transferred. As a result, all the stakeholders are getting benefit out of it. The insurance companies, the corporates, they have a reduction in the cost of healthcare services and therefore the premium. The patients are getting a better patient experience and also the convenience of getting the services at home, and the hospitals can now focus on high cost, high need patients. So let me show how it is done. The employee downloads MedIQ app from the App Store and creates an account. The account gets linked to the insurance company of the corporate, and that insurance company is already onboarded by MedIQ. The employee can now choose between physical healthcare or a physical visit, or can book an online consultation, as a result of which the doctor who has the appointment looks at the record of the patients without the patient being there first. Once the record is actually seen by the doctor, then the patient consultation is done and the notes or the prescription is stored within the system. Our partner labs and the pharmacies, they provide pharmacy and the lab services, and the results again are stored in the system and can be viewed by the doctor, and the follow-up instructions are given. So all of our system is completely digital, and the data of the patient, whether the patient is from one hospital or the other, or from anywhere in the world, can be accessed by the patient and can be transferred. So this makes the life of the person very easy, in addition to benefits for multiple stakeholders involved. And if you talk about the corporates and if you talk about the insurance companies, they have a dashboard which gives them some metrics or the numbers for the usage as well as the cost of the services which are being utilized. And what do we earn? We keep about 18% of the revenue as a share from the health service provider for each transaction. Now coming to Saudi Arabia market, under Vision 2030, there's a high focus on improving the healthcare services by moving from public sector to the private sector. The private sector currently is serving about 22% of the market and will increase to 60% by 2030. And the population of Saudi Arabia, which is approximately 38 million right now, is expected to double to 77.2 million in the next 15 years. This definitely calls for a solution which is beyond developing the physical infrastructure. This is what required is basically a digital platform which can get integrated with the physical platform and can serve as an extension of it in the community. And this is what MedIQ exactly is doing. So MedIQ together with insurance companies is going to provide low cost, better quality services to the subscribers. So currently in Saudi Arabia, 90% of the market is captured by 6 insurance companies, and we are already working with 2 of them. And moving forward, we're also going to get integrated with the remaining 4. And we are targeting 83,000 large and medium enterprises who have employed more than 8.3 million people. Our target customer are about 2 million employees, and who will be generating about 6.8 million in terms of the revenues for us in the next 3 years. If we compare ourselves to the competitors in the market, they are basically focusing more on the virtual care and on the B2C side, while on the other hand, we are a unique combination of physical and virtual care and are completely digitized. We also make our service provider workflows completely digital, like helping them with pharmacy management, with claim processing. So we are uniquely positioned in a way that we are not only a service provider, we are also a technology provider. Next. So this is all possible because of the team which is working with me. I'm Dr. Saira, I'm the CEO and founder of MedIQ. And together with me are 2 chief operating officers, one in Saudi Arabia and the other one in Pakistan. And they bring with them extensive experience of working in large-scale operations and have worked in the health sector industry for more than 30 years combined. They have worked with Ministry of Health, with FMCG companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, worked with Nehdi, and they are also supported by the genius behind our technology, Aslan Sheikh, who has made this user-friendly technology for us, and also supported by our Chief Financial Officer and our Growth Officer behind the growth strategies for both markets. We are almost 4 years old, so since our launch, we have seen a strong traction from our customers and a strong demand from them. In 2023, we generated a GMV of $21.7 million US, and our revenues were $3.63 million US. In Saudi Arabia, since our launch, it has been almost 9 months. In 9 months, we have generated a GMV of 263,000 and the revenue of 86,000, showing a good product market fit. And we are growing on an average 16% month on month. And above all, our patients love us. 96% of our patients are satisfied, and 58% of them are repeat customers having multiple transactions on our platform. And in addition to our fee, above on the fee, we are helping the corporates and insurance companies reduce their healthcare expenditure by 22%. And these financial figures not only show the financial success, but they are also reflected in terms of the number of lives impacted. So far, we have been able to help about 2.5 million customers whose health has been made better with the help of our platform.
Now to our next startup, please give a warm welcome to Emmy from Scalex.
Meet Ada. Ada is one of 45 million SMEs across Africa who depend on cross-border payments to meet their payment obligations to her suppliers. Each time Ada uses payment solutions in Africa, she's charged 5%. And these payments can take 3 to 5 days to reach the suppliers. And it gets worse. There's currently a lack of foreign currency supply, such as US dollars, in the continent. So Ada finds it difficult to even meet these payment demands she has. For Ada to convert her naira to dollars in Nigeria, she has to go to multiple platforms and banks to get access to dollars. And after that, she has to deposit it into her bank. And then, to process that payment, she's charged 5%. After this 5% charge, she has to now wait for multiple days, almost 5 days, for these payments to reach the suppliers. And if these payments come late, she gets a late payment charge from her suppliers. Ada is depressed. She's stressed out. Now, Ada has been hearing about stablecoins and how this has been aiding a lot of SMEs across Africa to meet their B2B payment needs. But she doesn't know how to go about it. The banking solutions in the continent do not have this. They don't offer it. Now, to add some context into how stablecoins are driving payment solutions in Africa. Between 2022 and 2023, Africa received over $117 billion in digital asset inflows. And Nigeria has been growing 9% month-on-month, year-on-year, over that same period, putting it number 3 out of 50 countries globally. We are Scalex. We're a Web3 B2B payment infrastructure solution for African businesses. We offer APIs for businesses building our payment solutions to enable them have access to local currency to stablecoin conversions, to scale, and to go to market quickly. We also provide them with access to local payment rails across mobile money, bank transfers, and local wallets, as well as access to stablecoins liquidity. This access to stablecoin liquidity ensures that these businesses have a robust liquidity pool that ensures they can process payments to any part of the world, fast and at lower cost. Next. And we charge just 0.5%, a tenth of what local traditional players charge. And we do this at 10x the speed of traditional players. Next. The market in Africa for Scalex is immense. The B2B payment industry in Africa is estimated to grow to over 300 billion by 2030. In Nigeria alone, we've seen over 58 billion in transactions on digital assets. And for us at Scalex, we're aiming at obtaining just 1.3 billion of that market size in the next 18 months. And how do we want to do this? We already have signed partners that have committed to over 55 million in transaction volumes month on month. And adding that up to a year brings us to over $660 million. And we intend to more than double that in the next 18 months. Our competitor landscape is very open. What gives us the best advantage is that we are very accessible and we are reliable. And how do we do this? We've built our infrastructure on the best local traditional payment infrastructure, as well as on a fintech optimized blockchain, Solana. This ensures that our partners have access to fast transactions at very affordable cost. I have been driving digital payment solutions in Africa over the past 8 years, having worked in 2 of the top 5 banks, Diamond Bank and Nigeria. And my co-founder, Jola Jide, is also not a newbie when it comes to software development. He's one of the few software developers in the country to have won a hackathon that was organized by a consortium of Nigerian banks in 2020. And he's also the lead engineer of Shorty Tech, a digital escrow solution in Nigeria. And of course, we have Jalani Ngati, our COO, who handles strategy and sales, a role he held in similar last year. And in that period, we've onboarded over 8 business partners, including global players like Alchemy Pay. And we also have a lot of other partners in the pipeline. In addition to that, we partnered with the leading bank in the country, and a big one, we partnered with Circle, the issuer of USDC, to have access to deep liquidity of USDC and also improve cross-border payments in Nigeria.
Our absolutely last but not least company for today. Please, everybody, a warm, warm welcome for Hank from League of Play.
Everybody meet Alex. He's 24 years old, lives in Los Angeles, living a great life. His favorite things are social media, which he checks constantly, hanging out with his friends, which he does every day, and sports. Now, he doesn't check sports all the time, mostly just what's on his social media feeds. He catches the highlights and things like that. And he also listens to his favorite content creators who talk about the games, they talk about the drama between the teams, whatever. That's how he takes most of his information in. You see, because Alex is part of a generation called Gen Z. This is the world's first truly digital native generation. Everyone in Gen Z didn't know a world that didn't have smartphones and social media. So everything goes through that social media filter, which is where they live their lives. Not surprisingly, Gen Z's not watching as many live sports as the other generations. 3 hours of content, all passive viewing with a bunch of ads. That's not what they want. In fact, a third of them don't even watch live sports at all anymore. Sports needs a total rebuild in order to connect with Gen Z. Rebuild? How would you rebuild sports? Well, you need the action and suspense that comes from competitions. You need social media, but not just social media broadcast, native to social media, the stars that they're used to watching, and certainly being able to play along with your friends and collaborate and be interactive. We present to you exactly that, League of Play. Sport reinvented specifically for Generation Z. We put on live stream sporting tournaments, real sports, on social media platforms featuring the largest content creators in the world. And those sporting competitions are live interactive, so fans like Alex can vote to affect the gameplay during the game. Let's take a look at one of our matches. Here is a ping pong tournament we put together featuring top creators, high energy, high production here you'll see, and also Alex being able to vote on the distractions like the pizza pedal that comes in or the unicorn costume, and his friends can even pipe in remotely. So in between the tournaments, before and after, Alex can go to leagueofplay.com to do a number of things. He can learn about the creators that are going to be on the next competition. He can fill out quizzes and fun polls and surveys to earn points on League of Play. He can play some casual gaming to earn points on League of Play as well. And he can even watch some of his newer creators and discover them by watching videos there. All of that earns him points that he can redeem for goods and services that we offer through our platform and entering contests and raffles. The way we make money is with brand sponsors that do activations during our tournaments, branding during our tournaments also, and product placement during the tournaments. And then as you just saw on our platform, we create our own licensed merchandise and goods that are available for the fans to buy, from sporting gear to soft goods to even food and beverage. And then the digital products that we offer, paid engagements like being able to chat with your favorite creator, being able to do betting and fantasy sports, and to subscribe to content like training footage or behind the scenes of your favorite creators. We're creating a whole new category. It's not really an improvement to sports. This is a whole new way for the generation to take in content. The further you go towards entertainment and up towards interactive, you get this whole other category that is active involvement, not passive like the traditional sports of yesteryear. This is exciting because when you combine all these elements together, you get a really massive TAM. You get entertainment combined with sports, combined with the creator economy. Those are all massive markets, but the creator economy, already at $250 billion, is set to almost double by 2027. For us, that's a really unique opportunity because we have a bunch of different international markets that are all different creator ecosystems, different sports, different cultures, different languages. And here you can see a combination of all these different markets across our unified platform gives us a pretty massive upside of at least $10 billion, if not more, if you look at the sheer size of entertainment plus sports plus the creator economy. Let's talk about the team. I'm Hank, co-founder and CEO. My previous company, Gigster, is the leading production locations marketplace for creators. So Airbnb for film shoots. Thousands of top creators every month go to Gigster and find their locations for their videos. Did 40 million GMV just last year. And I consulted before that with a company called Body Armor, a leading sports drink in the US. And I worked directly with Mike Rapoli, the founder of Vitamin Water, and NBA star Kobe Bryant before he passed away. They launched that brand on the strategy I helped him with, and they sold to Coca-Cola 5 years later for $5.6 billion. Co-founder Elon Friedman, Chief Revenue Officer. His father is famous for having discovered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a comic book. And he and his father and their family business licensing agency did all the toys, all the movies, all the shows, all the goods and services, everything, to a $3 billion empire. And then from there also wound up working with most of the largest YouTube accounts to run all of the consumer goods and products of some of the top creators to a 9-figure revenue. Last but certainly not least, co-founder Ben Grubbs was the global director of top creator partners at YouTube. So during his time there, he injected $100 million in capital into the creator ecosystem and essentially jump-started the creator economy as we know it back in 2015, 2016. While he was at YouTube, he also created an event series called YouTube Fan Fest, featuring top creators on stage with the live audience there. Sound familiar? Well, when he was at YouTube, he scaled that to 12 markets in Asia alone. It's now a $50 million piece of business just in Asia, just with those events. So now you see what we're doing here. We're creating an environment with the top of the top of the top of the food chain. Literally the top 0.03% of creators. That's from 1 million to 100 million subscribers. And when you put 10 or 20 of these top creators onto a tournament together, the reach gets ridiculous. That ping pong tournament I just showed you, across the 12 creators, we had 186 million subscribers of reach. That's how many were on that tournament. That's just below Mr. Beast and just above Cocomelon as far as reach goes, and that's for every tournament with a new set of creators. So not surprisingly, the performance on that ping pong tournament was pretty immense. We did 1.1 million unique live viewers and 6.3 million total views, 550,000 in revenue, and all of this with no paid marketing at all. This was just an experiment to see what would happen if it works. That's about as small as it would get. The engagement was also off the charts, 23 times the average engagement of a YouTube video. And now, off of that pilot, we have 6 tournaments coming in the US. This is season 1 for us, all featuring different top creators and different sports across the US. We have great brand partners with us, including Carvana, public company in the US, who will be giving away a Tesla to a lucky fan like Alex, who's voting and entering contests to win that car. Now what we've seen is top sporting leagues internationally wanting to do exhibitions with us because we have all the biggest creators. So we have stuff happening in Brazil, Japan, India. Very excited about the MENA region. This week has been incredible. Too much to talk about here. Love to talk afterwards about the opportunity that's here. And also we have brands that want to do entire sporting series with the same sport leading toward a championship that's just for creators. So imagine an entire cricket league that's just creators. Thank you so much. And the first commit today can have this limited edition first run prototype jersey that I have here. I only got one. Thank you.
Okay, all right, well, that brings us to the end of today's demo day, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We are Orbit Startups. These are our QR codes. Please do scan and follow us on LinkedIn, or come to our website. Do sign up for our newsletter where we will keep you up to date with all the latest happenings and goings on in the Orbit world. All right, so now I think we're going to break for some networking offline here with Dubai. But everybody online, thank you so much for coming and joining us, and have a great day.